The dog has now taken up the annual cheese rolling event. Good morning folks, welcome back to the farm. The other end of the farm, we aren't normally up this side. So this is an access that comes in off a lane into the lake field. And of all the things I brought to start this fencing project, I didn't bring a chainsaw. We've got a few trees down and they're in the way. I think these were pretty, well, I don't think the trees were alive anyway. It's just still a whole load of ivy. So we'll clear these and we're just going to pull out some lines. I had to make the most of the sunshine. It's been raining for what seems like a month and it's pretty soft underfoot, hence why I drove around this way. But we're going to pull out the lines, just simple plain wire, and that'll be where the posts go in. Tom has managed to free up a weekend. So hopefully with the tractor and a bit of manpower, we should be able to get most of this fence in. It might be dry, but it's a bit nippy. I've got my gloves. We'll use up this wire that's on the spinner. All right, we need that. Maybe we should try and clear that tree. That probably would be quicker to go all the way back and get a chainsaw. Let's see, it's pretty dead, the tree, but I can't get in there without moving this one. There's 3 more down. I just don't trust the tyres on this car. You should have gone and got the chainsaw. We've got access at least, but I'm going to give myself a break from hand sawing and pull out this line because it's ready to go. The box strainers aren't made up yet. Pulling a single strand, I can just go off the big posts each side. And then we can do the box strainers after when we've got more time. Not sure I trust the Discovery on this. Maybe up there. Should be alright. Okay, that line's out now and far too straight. We want straight, but we end up losing a fair bit of ground here. This is another one of those hedges, but not really a hedge. Just bramble with the very occasional hawthorn. In time, this should really be replaced with a proper hedge. However, I haven't got time for that right now, so I want to make sure I've got space to get in there, but I don't want to lose too much. So what we'll do is just about halfway along, we'll push it in with a central post, a slightly larger post. There's enough on this, there's enough flex on this halfway along that we can push it in, so it'll just go along and then across. And it also intentionally leaves a triangle at the far end, which we can put a few trees in. It's just far easier to do that and follow it round, because it's a bit of an odd bit up there where there's another entrance to another field. But that tree's got a cut in it now, so I'm going to see if I can pull it out. Alright, cleared the way. I may as well pull this line out because I need to drive down the other end to get that tree out. Alright, come on Tim, don't get stuck. It would appear that every vehicle we own needs a new set of tyres. This one particularly, I mean, it's fine for your average road use, but we're not average users anymore. Out okay. Don't think we've got enough to get all the way to the other end, but we may as well try. Alright, see what we're dealing with. bit chunkier than the last. What I don't want to do is start pulling it out with the disco and then bogging down. Right, I'm just not going to risk it. I'll come up with a tractor and a chainsaw. It's bigger than I thought and it's still rooted. So I've run the wire out, left it loose over the top. We can lift it up while we pull it out. But at least I know I've got enough wire to strain here. So next bit is down there. Oh, do you know what I should have done? I should have pulled it all the way through so I don't have to move the cable, the reel. Could have pulled it all the way through. I'm not sure I should risk driving any further. It sounds stupid, but it's just far easier to get stuck in that Discovery than it is with the truck. But I can't bring the truck round on the road. It's not soft, but it only takes one wet bit and you're stuck. It's alright though. I'll bring the spinning Jenny to this corner and I can pull it all the way down to the gate from there and I don't have to drive anywhere there. We'll just drive it. That's a frustrating little interval about planning. Our consultant has just informed me that our council has just recently started a new policy of not negotiating or discussing planning applications with applicants anymore to save resources. If there is any issue with our planning application, they will just refuse it on the final day without telling us at all during the process, which is why they actually told us to go for a full app, because there would be a space for talking. Now, providing I can actually get out of this field, that's me done. This has done about 1,000, no we haven't, done about 800 metres of line out ready. The posts are all on the trailer. There's no way I'm going to try bringing the trailer any further than that gateway. I'm probably going to back it in and then dump them. Tom's going to bring the tractor and a quad with a small trailer. That way hopefully we'll be able to just handball them around and get them all staked out first thing in the morning, and then Tom can go around. We're making the priority the lane and this side because there's just no fencing. I don't know, I've said this in the past, but that hedge all the way along there, which is a good 400 or 500 metre run, that has a perfectly good stock fence on the other side of the hedge. We are fencing it, but if that has to wait a week or two, that's fine. But as soon as we get this side in, this is ready to put the sheep down once it dries up a little bit. Thought it was ready for a cup of tea. So if I carry reel over there, have I got enough? We can only but try. I'll get the spinner up in that corner. We'll pull it all the way up there and all the way down to the track in the first field. Well, I feel like you might have missed quite a bit here. I did a terrible job of filming progress. Tom was here last weekend and we were just so busy getting it done. I didn't really film much and I was away on the Sunday. But then I've spent every day this week fencing solo and I'm absolutely wrecked. But there's some progress to share. Not that you can see it, but that is 1,000 metres, give or take, of stock net up with 2 strands above, all the way down to the oak tree lake, all the way up along to the far corner where the gate is, onto the lane, all the way along the lane boundary. And then we've just finished, well, I'm in the process of finishing this long run here, which is about 400 metres from the far corner up to the willow, breaks there, starts again, all the way back down. Not a machine in sight, apart from the tractor helping me to get up and down the lane, up and down the track. There was absolutely zero mechanical carrier for that net, so I've managed to get it all rolled out. These 250 metre rolls are definitely the way forward. So much better to not have joins and just a more efficient way. It's just hard rolling them up and down hills. So this one is now nice and tensioned. The biggest regret out of everything we've done here is not getting a digger in to level the mounds and the humps and all of this damage that the rabbits have done. If I'd cut into the bank a bit, tidied it up, we would have a very even, gradual rise and fall of this. So I've been along with the spade and by hand done about 350 meters of rabbit demolition. Basically, I'll show you an example. Here's a few. These are basically mounds that kick the net up, and if you kick it up in one place, you end up with a hole elsewhere. Ignore this one because that's got to be sorted, but everywhere you see soil, there was a mound which I've dug out, and as a result the net can now sit down and hover just above ground level, and that closes up gaps that would have been in between. But all of this is just riddled with rabbits. You see here, for example, here's a hole, and all of that earth that they've dug out has got to go somewhere, so they're continuously piling it and piling it. And although a rabbit's a dinky little thing, half a cubic metre of soil outside most of these holes. Hole, 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 hole. You know, you get the idea. Therefore, the right thing to do would have been to come up, dig it out, get the blade on the digger and kind of give us a decent track. But it's done now, and it's going to be nice and even. At least the net can be in the right place. If rabbits decide to turf stuff through it again, so be it. But at least our net, you know, all the wire's going to be right. It's not going to be affected by it. Might be buried, but there has been someone come around for rabbits, and they're about 60, I think, out of this hedgerow. Not made a dent. You know, it's a continual thing. I haven't seen any rabbits with mixed mitosis. Not that I'd wish that upon anything, any creature, but and Mr. and Mrs. Fox are not keeping up with it, so we'll have to do our bit. Right, back to fencing. What I've now got is posts of varying heights. They're all 1.2 meters from the ground. Tom made sure of that with his level as he drove them in with the knocker. Some of them have hit a rabbit hole and they're not strong enough, not solid enough. What I've decided to do, which I worked really well up there, is I'm going to drive these down now. Now I know that my net, even though it's not stapled on every one, I'm happy with where it is in relation to the ground. This stuff stands up nice and straight. It's not like the hinge joint. So I know that's basically where our top is going to end up. I don't need this much above our net. So I'm going to now knock each one of these down to a set point so that we should end up with the same amount of posts above all of our net all the way along. Obviously we could just chainsaw them off, but that's not getting any more posts in the ground. The more posts in the ground, the better. And then because this doesn't really go out onto any lanes, footpaths, public areas, you know, it's literally just stock netting for our sheep, potentially cows in the future, the goats. I don't need to put barbed wire there, and I certainly don't need to go right to the top of these posts. So one strand of plain is actually going to take us to 1.1 meters. And the way I've been doing it is using our trusty knocker, and I've just really crudely got a piece of wire hanging on there which hangs down. As soon as that touches the top of our net, we know we've got the correct amount of post above. I will explain and show you now. Do I need some fuel? Let's risk it for a biscuit. Pretty sure that one's okay. This one's not far off either, but if I knock it down in a minute, this one's only a little fraction high, but you get the idea. We should be able to go along now and bring all these posts down, equal amount showing from each. Man, I got away with words today. The dog is now taken up the annual cheese rolling event. This water trough is actually ours apparently, but it was connected to next door's supply because they used to graze in here when they were renting this ground. That's disconnected now, so it does need to come out, but it was one job I didn't need to start, and we know that we're going to get a loader of some sort in the future. So I'm going to leave it there and we can just sling it and lift it over. So we can still tack it, well, staple it all up, and then this hole, which is obviously just where cows have been, which is actually hardcore, which is why these two posts haven't gone in as far with my knocker. we'll fill this back in with a few tons of soil, which we'll rob from somewhere. And that is a wrap. That's a pretty full-on week for me. I said I'd get fit in January, so that was a good start. The next plan, next aim, oh my goodness, can't get a word out. The next thing to do is to get final top line on here and a top line on the other side, and then that is the whole perimeter of the field done, which is the most important thing, because sheep can escape or get stuck in hedges, and well, they can drown as well. So hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll get the lake done as well. Now, I don't think I've done it yet, but I will compile a list of all the fencing stuff I've used, because it takes more gear than you actually think. Yes, you could do it with a hammer and a staple and a post banger, but in reality, if you're going to do high tensile wire, you need these chain strainers, or at least a pulley winch. You need the brackets, the clamps. I use that petrol post knocker, which we've got out on loan, and obviously I'm using the nailer, or the Milwaukee stapler, which is helping. Obviously these are really, really solid, tough, gnarly posts, so they struggle, or this struggles with the staples that any machine would. I've used this in all the softwood posts and the creosote posts, absolutely fine. This is a great bit of kit, so don't think that because it's not going in all the way, not that we want it in all the way, but because it can only achieve on the full power on a new battery. In reality, that is fine for a high tensile fence, but it does struggle. It would struggle getting it in any further. That's basically the most out of the machine, but that is exactly what we're looking for. So if it can manage Robinia posts, it can manage anything. Now, it will be a separate video because I need to take a breath in between edits. However, to give you an idea of what the next phase is, it is going to be to fence off the whole waterway. So basically the whole of the perimeter of the lake. There was posts here, just posts and a single strand of barbed, which is fine for obedient dairy cows, but not for anything else. So, and most of these are a bit wobbly and wonky. So we're going to fence around the whole thing. The easiest thing to do for that, and I'm sure Tom would prefer, as far as getting posts laid out and things, is just square the whole thing off. The straighter the line, the easier the pull, easier layout. But we don't want that because it's curvy, it's an organic sort of shape. We want it to look quite natural and rustic. So we're going to follow the old fence line, which kind of goes in and out. I'm going to bring it in a little bit because some of the bank up there is eroded, so there's a bit of a cliff. And down here I want to be able to walk on the inside of the fence for when we do any fishing and stuff, or the kids are getting in the boat. So we can tweak it a little bit, but it does need to follow. I had to pick up a bunch more 6-inch strainers. Actually, they're more like 8, they're absolute whoppers. They're more like gate posts, but we'll put those on the most severe turns. Up this end, we're going to go with the standard 3 to 4s, so like the outside of the field, all the way up to the marshy area, across and back down. But the sort of hero part of the farm, or at least this field, is at the far end of the water. When you're looking back up, you've got the oak tree. We're going to put the jetty there and stuff, and that's a nice picturesque end. So going 3 meter spacings with just wire looks a bit agricultural. We need to do that because this is still part of the grants, so we do need it to be sheep net and posts, but we're going to close the posts up to 1.8 meters or just under. so we can get rails on in the future. We haven't got funds to do that now, but I know in the future it'd be quite nice to put some rustic rails over the netting. So it's going to be a lot more posts down that end, and they're going to be chunkier, because these posts, although they are absolutely fine for regular sheep net, if you were to start nailing wide rails onto them, they're not quite big enough to take that. Therefore, we're using 4 to 5 inch posts down there, or as far as we can get on the visible section until we run out, and then we'll switch to these. So we should be able to rail. The only concern that Tom had is if you're doing bends and railing it, then you can end up like a 50p piece, because you're constantly turning. So you're constantly using short rails, you're not going to be able to bend them. Therefore, there will be a certain amount of gradual bends rather than curvy. Also, a little shout out and reminder that the farm shop website is still open as always. So although we had our little rush before Christmas, plenty of stuff in stock still, and we probably did far too much sausage meat and did far too little advertising and marketing. So get yourself over to the website and you'll be able to buy some of our own free range sausage meat. There's 2 different flavors. And little secret tip, what we sell as the dragon sausage meat, which is amazing for sausage rolls and stuffings and things like that. Buy some of that and you literally just chop it into cubes, roll it into balls, and it is instant perfect free range meatballs. There's your tip for the day. But we've achieved a lot this week, so I hope you enjoyed missing most of it. I promise I'll give you a sunny day walk around, but the whole lot, you know, a kilometre of fencing is hard going, and I can see why people have these contraptions on their loaders that they can just drive along and unroll everything. Anyway, I'll leave it there. If you've got any questions, stick them down in the comment section below. If you want to see more fencing videos, go and find the playlist. But that's it. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time.